Welcome to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Be a part of the program today by calling 757-222-3705. That's 757-222-3705. Email your questions and comments to Dave at letstalkcarsradio.com. Now, here is the host of Let's Talk Cars Radio, Dave Palach.
Happy Saturday, America. You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio on WKQA Freedom 1110. I am your host, Dave Palach, along with my buddy, Rockin' Larry Cobb. And, of course, Cameron's sitting in for all our technical stuff again this week. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, I have no idea. But, I'm always clueless.
Clueless is not, well, sometimes it's a good thing.
Got a birthday party to go to today.
You can deny everything when you're clueless. You're like, I didn't know. I had no idea.
The older I get, the more I deny.
That works. And people believe it because the older you get, they just figure you forgot.
You're an old guy. Yeah. Keeps me out of trouble.
Cameron, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. My weekend went straight. It went very well. Like, I didn't think school could go that well in the school year.
Yeah, there you go. Keep it up. Absolutely doing great.
Now you got a break coming up.
Yeah. The Christmas break is coming.
Yes, we do. I've been counting down. 22 days to go, guys.
So it's been pretty cool. So I got a lot of stuff that came in this week. A lot of questions, a lot of texts, a lot of emails from you guys. Everybody that's been listening on Facebook, thank you very much for tuning in, checking it out. I know a lot of people try to go on live. A lot of people check it out later. But continue to like it, share it, click on it, comment. We're loving it. So just keep on doing that. So a lot of the questions I got this week were cold start things, and Larry and I were talking about it before we went on the air, and the huge thing with it is it's that time of year. Winter's coming, and with winter coming, the temperature's dropping. As the temperature drops, you're going to find out if you have a good battery or not.
So in the middle of summer, the battery doesn't fail?
No, it does, because then it's the reverse. It gets hot. So it's funny because it's extreme heat and extreme colds are the two things that kill batteries. They just do. I mean, and it's funny that I talk about it. We talk about it all year long. Keep an eye on your battery. And you guys, well, I say you guys, but everybody I talk to is, oh, yeah, I do that all the time. I know that's not happening. We were just talking about you popping your hood and checking everything on your car.
Yeah, remember the old days you had to put water in your battery?
Oh, yeah. So Larry was the victim of a bad battery. So
yes, indeed.
He had to get one. So keep that in mind with it being the winter coming. Like I said, because everybody says it's going to be a cold one. I don't know if it's going to be or not, but everybody always says that every year. Oh, it's going to be a cold winter this year.
They always say that.
Hopefully we get a white Christmas this year. Hopefully.
I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. It's funny how you ignore your car. You hear me talk about it all the time. People ignore their cars, and they don't really pay that much attention to anything until it stops. That's just the way it works. I know that it is, and everybody will tell me differently. Oh, no, Larry and I were talking about it last week. He was like, I pop my hood and check everything regularly. Uh-huh. Sure.
Well, I don't check the battery. There's nothing to check.
Well, sure there is. You get yourself a little voltage meter and make sure the voltage is good.
I don't go that far.
Really?
No.
I must be anal.
I know what I'm getting him for Christmas.
I just must be anal about it then.
I got a tester. I just don't go to that kind of trouble because it's just... But I did think of you when the car wouldn't start.
Did you?
I thought of you, and I said, this is what he's always talking about.
Why are we going to use a voltage meter when we already have one built into the car?
Well, here's the thing, because on some cars nowadays, there's just a battery light.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
Yeah, some of them don't actually have a gauge on it anymore, so it's just a light on it. So, like I said, I mean, with that being the case, people tend to just not know until it's... But we were talking about it, and Larry and I, before we came on the air, we were having the conversation. I remember when cars would have the indication, you know what I mean? As you stated, you kind of feel the battery start to get weak. You would know it, and you'd be like, oh, I think the battery's starting to get weak. And you could, be proactive and fix the problem. Nowadays, it's just one day it starts, and the next day it doesn't.
It just stops.
Well, it's even worse for the push-button cars, because a lot of the cars have push-button start on them. They already start kind of hanky as far as I'm concerned. When you hit the button, it's already kind of a weird start as it is anyway. So it's either you push the button and you just get the electric that comes on, and little gas gauges, light gauges come on the car, and when they come on, if it just doesn't start, well, then you're out of luck. So it's just one of those things. You got to kind of keep it up.
I knew they had those. How do they keep it secure? You still have to have a key?
There is. So some of them, it's all kind of weird. So some of them, and it's actually funny you say that because it's in the news this week. There's a huge thing going on with that. So that we're going to talk about. But some, the push button actually pulls out and there's a key behind it. And then some have other little, like there's another one, there's a key that's on the driver's side where you actually put the key in there and then the car will start if it has a problem where the push button doesn't work.
Yeah, because otherwise somebody could just get in, push the button, and go.
In theory, you can, okay? So in one of the Nissans that we had, you didn't have to have the key. You could get pretty far away from the house with it with the key still inside of the house. I know, I believe it, and I never tried it, but I believe if you turn the car off, then it won't restart because there's no longer connectivity to it. Mm-hmm. But it was one of the Nissan Altimas we had a while back that I many times had walked out of the house without the key and drove, and I'm like, oh, and I had to turn around and go back to the key because I was just too afraid like I was going to get a certain distance, the car was just going to cut off on me.
So let me ask you a question because I've been actually meaning to ask you this, Dad. So the Nissan in the back, it starts without the key? Ever since it was in that accident, it starts without the key?
Well, it will, because it's still within distance from the house to the car. That's the reason why. So, and I'm going to get that. I got a story on that.
But if you drove away from where the key was at a certain distance, it's going to shut off?
I believe so. That's the way it's supposed to be designed. Or if you turn the car off, like, I never went very far with it. I guess I ought to test that. I'll get back to you guys and let you know. I've never really tested the theory of what happens if you turn it off. I guess I'd have to have somebody like come get me. But I know I've gotten a couple blocks away from the house and the car still ran. It gave me the audible that there's no key. That's where maybe turn around and go back. But
I'd be curious to know how far could you go?
Well, I watched a video the other day. I don't know. I watched a video the other day that was sent to me, and it went in correspondence to one of the stories that I have here. And the guy was in a Lamborghini, and he was driving. He got a Lamborghini for the day, and he left. He got like 6 or 7 blocks away, and the car was still running. I don't know how that was possible, but he was. And all of a sudden he realized he didn't have the key. And he turned around, and went back and go get it. So I don't know.
I've never had a push button start car, so I don't.
Well, it's time we update you a little bit.
Yeah. Chevy, if you're listening, send your cars.
I have a 12-year-old car,
Well, that's because you keep things until they're old as dirt, you said. Until they absolutely give you a reason to have to replace it.
Until it just don't work anymore.
Right. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. And when it happens, it's going to be cold as could be outside.
I know it's going to happen, but I don't like to dwell on that.
I'm going to keep reminding you. I'm going to start putting that fear in you. So here's one of the questions that I got this week from one of our listeners. And it was, and I do get a lot of questions on this topic. We don't, like, I tell everybody, I get letters, certain things we get to, certain things we don't. I try to pick some of the stories and stuff and go with it, but this is something that comes up in different ways. And I answer people on a lot of the blog stuff that we do. I just give them quick answers and stuff. That's the reason why we don't talk about it on the radio all the time, but I do give people their answers. So car insurance and what is the big difference? So that seems to be like a question. I get little different scenarios as far as, they're like, if everybody has car insurance and everybody's selling basically the same product, then why is it such different rates, and what's the big difference between repairs and accidents and all that kind of stuff?
I could see the difference in cost in terms of coverage, but outside of that, what's left? What difference does it make?
I don't think there's any, but there is a huge. I mean, you can do apples for apples and have a huge difference between companies. There really is.
I know there isn't rates, but I mean, it's if you pick the coverage, of course, you got your state limit. Then you can go beyond that, and more coverage, the more cost.
There is. So here's one of the answers that I came up with for you guys. So I did a little digging around, and it seems the consensus is the big difference between car insurance. If you're comparing apples to apples, like all the same coverages and everything, and one's $200 more than the other one, you would think that would never happen, but it does. And what it comes down to is the discounts, for the most part, are actually in the repair. So if there's ever an accident, how the repair is taken care of. That seems to be the consensus of the answer for all the digging I did. Some companies go way above beyond to make the car 100% again, and some companies don't. As I dug, I found a lot of videos, concerning videos of repairs that were done on cars that were just horrible repairs by large companies. I mean, I'm just going to say they're very big companies. They weren't tiny ones. I'm not going to call them all out by name because I just try not to do that. But where repairs were done on the cars, and these are shops that they prefer, and they were done, and the cars were totaled, and they put them back out on the road, and the people started having problems with the cars, so they took them into another repair shop and had them take a look, and they found repair work that was done horribly on the cars, and then when they brought the insurance company back in and showed them the horrible repairs, they deemed the car totaled after they spend $15,000 putting the car back together.
Well, the last couple of repairs I had, it was pretty much you can use anybody you want, but we have a preferred list.
Right. And here's what
if you use the preferred list, we guarantee the work for as long as you own the car.
Well, here's what preferred list usually means. I'm not going to say all the time, but this is what it usually means. Preferred list is that's the guy who decided to charge us the less amount of money to fix that car and put it back on the road.
I figured
that's
that.
what it is. Does that mean cutting corners? You take it the way you want to take it, but
Non-OEM parts?
well, it's not so much that. I mean, there's a lot of that going on, and we discussed that a couple weeks back with Nathaniel's car when he was buying parts to try to put his car back together. The fit and finish is huge, but at a body shop, the fit and finish can be 100% fixed, even by buying substandard parts. That's what I call them. But you can fix that with adjusting and tweaking, and you can hide that pretty well. The biggest thing is if you have frame damage, how it's been welded up, how it's been fixed. Do they, cut the frame and then add to the frame, and all that stuff is a huge thing. Go on if you ever really kind of want to look this, go online and kind of type in a story like I did to bring it here to the show, and it's pretty scary. I mean, some of the welds they do are crazy. I mean, they're barely holding things together, and it's just enough so cosmetically when you look at the car looks good. But if it ever got in another accident, you probably wouldn't fear the way it would work out for you. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't be that way.
Breaking two.
Yeah. You wouldn't fare well at all. You just wouldn't. It's absolutely amazing, some of these videos. So, I kind of wanted to bring that attention because, like I said, I do get these questions and people ask us and stuff, and they're like, what's the big difference? And it seems like the big difference is if you ever do have a problem or you have an accident or anything along that line, it's going to be how the car is put back together, and that's where the discount comes from. So people are like, oh, well, I got this car insurance and it's $400 cheaper. Well, it may be $400 cheaper because they're going on the idea of if he ever wrecks the car, it's going to cost us less than it would cost this company because we're going to do less work.
I figured it was some kind of a negotiation in terms of the price is why they had that.
Well, I've ran into, too, with insurance companies. They're only going to pay so much to fix the car, too. So if you take, let's just say you don't take it to one of their body shops and you take it to one of yours, and that guy says it's going to be X amount of dollars to fix it, I've ran into the situation where they're like, well, we only pay up to $500 for this and $400 for that, and this guy wants $700 for this. And so anything above and beyond that, unless you take it over to one of our repair shops, it will be out of your pocket. So
yeah, I've experienced that too.
Yeah, and that's how they do it. Yeah, you can take it wherever you want, but if that guy's above and beyond what they believe it should take to fix the car, well, then the rest of that falls on you.
Yeah, you pay the difference.
Right. So it's all kind of I don't know. It seems like a big scam to me. It really does. I hate to say that, but it seems like a big scam to me. So I hope that answers some of the questions. Like I said, I kind of had a stack of these, and I've gone and answered some of them here and there. People that have actually sent me stuff off the radio, but for the fact that I kind of got a little bit of stack going on of them of similar questions, I figured the best way to do is kind of try to talk about it a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take ourselves a quick commercial break. When we come back, Tesla's back in the news again. You got to hear this. We'll talk to you soon.
You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio with Dave Palach here on Freedom 1110 WKQA. Your vehicle has let you down and you need to get it moved pronto. Who do you call? Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth. Whether it's a breakdown or auto accident, Quality Towing and Recovery will be there quickly to solve your problem and with courteous service and reasonable rates. When you're stuck, don't worry about it. Call Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth, 237-5050. That's Quality Towing and Recovery, 237-5050.
Hello and welcome back to the Ronnie Deutsch Tax Program. On the line is Paul from California. Hi, Paul. What's your tax problem today?
Hi, Ronnie. Love your show. Listen, I've got a big problem. You see, my paycheck was garnished last week, and I'm only getting half the normal amount. To make matters worse, the IRS froze my bank account. Listen, I'm embarrassed and scared. I need some help.
Listen, Paul, you don't need to feel embarrassed. You just need some tax help. And the great news is the IRS has some unbelievable programs that can eliminate your tax debt so you don't have to worry about having your paycheck garnished or your bank levied. Doesn't that sound great?
It sure does, Ronnie.
Then do yourself a huge favor and get a free consultation right now and tell them the tax lady sent you.
If you owe the IRS $10,000 or more, call now. 855-715-5723. 855-715-5723. That's 855-715-5723.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Call into the program now at 757-222-3705. Now, here is Dave Palach.
Welcome back, America. You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio on WKQA Freedom 1110. I'm your host, Dave Palach, along with my buddy Rockin' Larry Cobb. If you were hanging out with us before we went to commercial break, we were talking about all the different things with insurance. So I do have a Tesla story for you. I know you love your Tesla stuff.
Is it about the batteries?
No, see? Did I stump you?
You did.
Tesla could be the first company on Mars.
I heard
Wait,
about
what?
that.
Yeah. First company on Mars, Project BFR, and I can't tell you what that stands for because we're on radio, is said to be set on sending Elon Musk's personal Roadster, the new Roadster, to Mars. So you know that they're part of SpaceX, and that's another Tesla program, and they've been working on heavy cargo loads and rockets and stuff, and want to be able to send them long distance. They also want to put people on Mars by 2024, I believe it is. So they want to test some of their heavy lift rockets. So one of the ways they're going to do is they're going to shove one of the Roadsters in it and shoot it off into space.
How is it going to charge?
Look.
At the charging station.
It's more right. If they already built on Mars.
Where?
I'm telling you. So it's one of those things. First of all, it gets publicity. I mean, that's huge. So, and the fact that it's kind of cool. I don't know. I thought it was kind of a neat story.
I bet they'll charge it with solar.
Maybe so. I mean, it's not like anybody's going to drive it. It's just going to be on Mars, and that's just going to be just a thing to talk about.
I'll go drive it. Send me up to Mars, and I'll go drive.
Yeah. Well,
I got a question then. Well, Tesla, when you think of Tesla, you think of electricity, right? So does that mean the rockets is going to be powered by electricity?
No. I don't think we're not that far yet. No. Far from it. So here's another thing that we were talking about a little bit earlier, and you were talking about the keys and the distance we were talking before we went to commercial break. So here is the story of the week. Do you know what relay crime is? I never heard of it.
Relay crime?
Relay crime.
No.
Okay, so relay crime is 100% what we're talking about with the key fobs. So what they've done is they've created a huge, basically box assembly that has a bunch of components inside. It's not big, but the way it works is huge in this aspect of things. So 2 different boxes. One box goes next to the car. The other box, the other criminal holds in his hand. He goes to the house and looks for a signal that's coming from the house from the key. Once he captures that signal that's coming from the key, he's able to lock it, which then sends the signal to the other box the guy's holding next to the car, which will then let the car start. Once that box is in his hand, he's in the car thinks that the key's in the car, so it lets it drive. And that's how they're stealing cars. And it's been dubbed relay crime.
I've heard of that process being done and that it could be done, but I didn't know it had a name.
Yeah, they now are able to go and they can walk around the outside of your house while you're sleeping and capture that signal that your key's sending from, your desk or your purse or whatever it may be. And once it captures that signal, it locks it, sends it to the other box. That box thinks that the key's there, and boom, they can drive off with your car. This is a big thing. So the reason why we're talking about it is one of the media releases this week is they actually finally caught this on video. It's one of the first times they believe they've actually caught it on video. So the video went viral this week of 2 criminals actually doing it from a house surveillance camera from the outside of the house. And they actually watch as the guy's walking around. He's holding the box up and he's, going along the house. And he captures the signal. And then literally the other guy standing next to the car, he gives the thumbs up and they drive away with the car.
So I have the video. I'm going to be posting it on the Facebook site. The guy walks up the garage, literally hits one button, and you can see the lights on the car. Opens up the car, starts the car automatically, by the way, because it thinks it's starting the car, drives right off.
Yeah, so you got to see it. Like I said, we'll get it posted up for you guys so you guys can take a look at it. But this is the stuff that we were talking about. We talked about this almost a year ago. All this seems like fantasy. We were talking about all the possibilities of what could go wrong with all this new technology coming out. And, Curtis hated technology. Absolutely hated technology. And it was one of those things where now all the stuff that we talked about for the last couple of years that were just basically, things that you never thought were really, it's going to be wild if they come around. And within a year's time, here they are.
That's amazing. I mean, I remember talking about it. How are they going to deal with all this stuff? And now it's got to be dealt with.
Well, I told you the car companies now, which is kind of interesting, and you guys can look this up as well, is the fact that they're paying hackers money to tell them how they've hacked. So hackers go in and try to beat the system and basically try to find ways to steal these cars or take over the cars. And then the car companies are paying them to show them how they did it so they can figure out how to combat it. So that's actually kind of a weird way that they're working together. Hackers are basically getting paid for what they used to get their hands slapped for or go to prison for.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
It does. I mean,
And that's been going on. You remember stories of like burglars that served time and then they were hired as consultants.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see many movies based on that, too.
Yeah.
But it just seems like everything that was movie-related lately
Becomes reality.
It's becoming reality. I mean, like, quicker than we can ever imagine. It's happening over and over and over again. And it's amazing to me how I really think that we use movies to introduce the idea of what already exists. So that way people don't get scared. They get used to seeing it in movies. And then when they hear about that somebody actually created, they're like, oh, I saw that in the movies like 8 times already. You know what I mean? So when it comes out, even though it's scary technology, they're used to it by then.
But it didn't exist when the movie was made.
Did it?
Or, well, I assume not.
Yeah, or did it? So I thought you guys would, enjoy that. Like I said, it's crazy how technology, and I was having a conversation this week about it, how technology just seems to be on just a huge rampage. For every time I turn around, there's something new. I mean, it seems like we're on that roller coaster again, that huge jump in technology advances.
And it's across the board.
It is. It's not just stuck in cars. It's everything. It's just, I don't know. It's absolutely crazy the way it works. So, hey, I got a reader's letter. You ready for this one? Dear Dave, I have a 2007 Honda Accord that has developed a road noise problem. When I'm driving, I start to hear what sounds like a tire going bad. I took the car in and had them check the tire, but was told it was okay. I figured they were going to tell me just to replace the tires all in general. The service guy said that we could replace them and see how that works, but the tires still seem to have some life left in them. I seem to notice the noise more on the highway, and it seems to be louder if I'm turning left. Any clue, Corey in Virginia Beach? It seems like, I think I know what this is, but I'm going to take a stab at it. I'm not looking at the car, so I'm just going to tell you my personal opinion on it. Cars don't know if they're turning left or right. So we've talked about this before. If you're turning left or you're turning right in a car, the car has no idea that you're turning the wheel because it's an inanimate object. So if the noise is changing pitch, that means the weight of the vehicle is changing pitch with the noise. So if you tend to notice that you go one way and the noise is more prominent, and then you go the other way and the noise isn't prominent, usually that means that's a rotational part. So as far as him thinking it was tire, he was probably somewhat on the right track. If they checked the tires and tires didn't have a shifted bead in it, the tire isn't going bad, you didn't hit something, and you have now a big curb mark in your tire, and it seems to balance okay, I'm going to say I would point towards the fact that it's probably going to be rotational as far as like a bearing or something. You may have a wheel bearing starting to go bad. And the reason why they can't hear it when it's in the garage is because it's in the garage. Most of the time when they run a vehicle at the garage, it's in the air, it's lifted up. So there's no load on the tire or on any of the rotational parts. So the car's just in the air hanging, it's spinning, they can't hear any noise. They don't see that the tire has any misshape to it. It's not wobbling. If they take it out and they're driving it, which is most auto garages have a set road course that they use to test drive vehicles. So if they drive it within their road course and they're not hearing the noise, well, then it's hard for them to detect because of the fact they're not pitching the weight onto the part that's starting to wear the way that you do in your everyday driving, especially as you state that the fact that the noise seems to kind of come and go a little bit. That means it's definitely probably going to be weight related because it's only when the car has certain load weight on whatever portion of part is wearing, it's the only time you're hearing it. So I'm going to say that you probably have a wheel bearing going bad. Corey, take it in, have them check it. Now, sometimes it's difficult too. You can get a car and you can check the wheel bearing. There's not a lot of play in it. So they think the wheel bearing is good. But just because it doesn't have any play in it doesn't mean the bearing isn't going bad. So I would definitely, and if all else fails, this is what I always like to put the customer in the car with me and let them drive it. Because a customer drives a car differently than I drive it, differently than you drive it, or anybody else drives it. So it could be his direct driving habits that the reason why the auto garage can't hear it. So Corey, give those a shot. Like I said, I'm shooting maybe for a wheel bearing or something along that line. Yeah, like I said, if they can't detect the problem, you tell them to check the wheel bearings and they can't find it that way, you take it for a ride with one of the technicians in the vehicle and see if you can duplicate the sound that way. Because like I said, your driving habits may be different. That used to happen to me all the time. Well, I feel it. And I get in a car and would never feel the problem. And then as soon as I got in the car with a customer and he drives differently than I did, I would instantly feel the problem. And the reason why is because I tend to light foot a customer's car. when I was driving a customer's car, I wasn't heavy away from the light, on the gas or anything like that. I drive it calmly. I find that 70% of the customers, send your hate mail, go ahead, you have my email, they powerhouse a car. They're hard on the throttle or they're hard on the braking. And I don't drive like that, and I would never drive a customer's car like that either.
I don't drive that way either because I was taught not to drive that way.
Yeah, I get in cars with people all the time for road tests, and when I'm road testing with them, they drive their car harder than I would ever imagine driving someone's car. And I'm like, you almost you want to say something, but you can't really because you can't critique the way somebody drives.
Sure you can.
Well, I'm always nice about it. I was like, oh, I would have never found that problem because I would never drive your car that way. That's my nice way of saying it. That's the only way I know to say it. And they just kind of look at me, but there's some people out there that they drive their cars very hard, and that's not how I'm going to get behind the wheel of somebody's car and drive it. So
Jackrabbit starts.
Right. First one to leave the stoplight, first one at the stoplight for all the rest of the traffic to catch up to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Like I said, Corey, give that a shot and see if that works, and shoot me a message. Let me know if that ends up being the problem. I'm always curious. A lot of people do get back to us and tell me what they found, and some people just tend to forget. So, but I always want to know if we're on the right track. So, second Tesla news. See, they're in the news twice.
Chock full today.
They are. Tesla workers have spoken up that say 90% of the cars leaving the production plant have flaws.
Don't they have quality control?
Okay, so see, you segued that very well. They do have quality control. Now, keep in mind that the workers who have stepped forward and said this are usually workers that have left the company or been fired from the company.
They got an axe to grind in.
I would say so. I can't say they've all been fired, but they all have definitely left the company, the ones that have spoken up. But also keep in mind that Tesla has one of the most tightest quality controls of all the car manufacturers out there. When I mean tight, there's certain gaps, clearances, or little imperfections in most car manufacturing plants that they just let it go. That's just production. That's just the way it works. That's the way the car comes out. Not a big deal. So Tesla, on the other hand, is said to be very huge on the fit and finish of their cars. So what would normally alarm us and go, 90%, that's huge. First of all, this is leaving the assembly plant. So keep in mind the fact that the car still goes through quality control, and then after the assembly, they go and fix all the little problems. So a lot of people don't realize, like, I don't want a Tesla. Stories like this are generated to get people scared, I think, and people don't understand. That's the reason why I kind of brought it up into the news. People don't understand that just because it left the assembly plant doesn't mean that's how it's going to hit the dealership lot. It means they still do a little tweaking and playing and making things right before you actually ever get your hands on them. But they write the story to make you believe that every car that's leaving Tesla's got a problem.
So you think GM might be saying that?
I don't know. I'm not saying. Look, you guys heard me say I have no stock in Tesla. They don't, sponsor our show or anything like that. But I've been a huge advocate for them since the start of this show, just for the fact that they are pushing the limits on every single thing in every forefront. Now people are starting to catch up to them, so now Tesla doesn't seem to be like the big thing anymore. But they have always been at the forefront of pushing technology and trying new things way before anybody else ever thought about doing it. So when you're at the top and you're the best, there's only one place to go. It's be knocked down. So people will constantly try to knock you down. It's just the way it works. That's where these negative stories, I think, come from.
Human nature.
It is. You know what also is human nature? Commercial breaks. We got to take one. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and hit you with some more letters. We'll talk to you soon.
You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio with Dave Palach here on Freedom 1110 WKQA. Your vehicle has let you down and you need to get it moved pronto. Who do you call? Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth. Whether it's a breakdown or auto accident, Quality Towing and Recovery will be there quickly to solve your problem and with courteous service and reasonable rates. When you're stuck, don't worry about it. Call Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth, 237-5050. That's Quality Towing and Recovery, 237-5050.
Talcum Powder Hotline is a marketing firm that represents lawyers jointly advertising their services, non-attorney spokesperson.
This is an important medical announcement. Talcum powder products from some of the best-known brands have been linked to ovarian cancer. Any woman who has used a talcum powder product and has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that women with long-term use of talcum powder, including baby powder for feminine hygiene, can increase the risk of contracting ovarian cancer. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to women who should have been warned about the risks of ovarian cancer with long-term use of talcum powder. Call the Talcum Powder Hotline.
Call 800-755-5357. 800-755-5357. 800-755-5357.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Call into the program now at 757-222-3705. Now, here is Dave Palach.
Welcome back, America. You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio on WKQA Freedom 1110. If you were with us before the commercial break, we were talking about the Tesla stories. I like Tesla, man. You know, I never really have much bad to say. Now, I have disciplined them a little bit when I see stories that don't make sense to me. But like I said, for the most part, I really do. I think that they're at the top, so people are just going to pick at them because they're at the top. You know, I'm not saying there isn't imperfections in the company, but
that's human nature as well.
It is. It really, really is. So here is, I told you, I got a bunch of reader letters for you guys this week. News stories were short this week, so you always know when the news stories are short, I start getting into back to all my letters on the air versus just typing back responses, online. That's what I usually do because, like I said, I belong to a lot of different forums, a lot of blogs, and I get into all that stuff and talk about cars all week long. So I answer a lot of people's questions that we never even talk about on the radio, but Here's one. Hey, Dave, why do you think Stinger is so talked about for the last couple of weeks? Jeffrey G., and this came to me by text. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Stinger is Kia's new, I guess basically kind of be their flagship car. It's their sedan. And it's everywhere in the media right now. Every time, if you go on the website and go on the web and just start typing in, anything car related, you're going to see Stinger everywhere. And it's what they're going to do is they're trying to push this car, and it's actually a really cool looking car. I mean, I know it's a Kia, guys, but I'm going to say it is a cool looking car. It's a sedan, and it's a sports sedan, so it's very sporty. Kind of reminds me of a Mercedes look. Like it just has that look to it. But the reason why it's so important, I think the reason why this keeps on popping up, this is a 2.0 dual overhead cam car, I believe, with a turbo that comes stock that way. So it's fast. I think it's 275 horsepower, if I remember correctly, which is pretty quick for a little sports sedan, basically. The biggest thing about it, this thing's rear-wheel drive. So how many sedans have you seen that's out there in the market right this second that are rear-wheel drive?
That's not the norm nowadays, is it?
It's not. I mean, some of the, Mercedes rear-wheel drive, and there's other ones out there as far as the high performance, like the Charger and stuff like that. But in that class, like the size of basically an Accord or something like that is basically what the size of this car is. Everything's front-wheel drive. This thing's going to be rear-wheel drive. So yeah, I'm sure you're going to see people start to sport this thing. They're going to get it, and they're going to go ahead and do some tweaks and some performance stuff to it, and you're going to start seeing this thing as a souped-up sports sedan, basically. I think is really what's going to happen. So that's the reason why, Jeff, you keep on seeing these things pop up everywhere. Like I said, I've noticed. I haven't really tagged on it because I've just been watching it. We talked about it, I think, about a year ago when we first saw the car get displayed. And it was just in the concept, getting ready to go to production stage, and we talked about it like, what was Kia think they're getting themselves into? Well, now we know. They're gunning for it. I mean, they really are. And a lot of these car manufacturers, some of these smaller ones that are just not well known, I'm not going to say not well known, but they're not the big company names, are starting to really gun and put pressure on some of these bigger companies by coming out with some really innovative stuff. It really is. It's interesting.
Well, I have to admit, I knew nothing of that car.
Look it up. When you get off the radio show, of course, I never want you all to leave us. But when you get off the radio show from listening to us.
Don't do it now.
Yeah. Look it up. Look up the Stinger. And like I said, it's a sports sedan. And there's a lot of, look, we talked about how Hyundai has come so far. Honda used to be one of those, oh, you got a Hyundai. And now it's, hey, I got a Hyundai. You know what I mean? So if they can do it, anybody can do it. There's a lot of companies out there that are trying to push in that way. One of the things that I saw this week, too, we talked about this about a year ago, and it seems to be more and more themed vehicles. You know what I mean by themed vehicles, right?
I think.
Like
elaborate.
people did the Disney theme, so like they got a Disney badge on the car, and then things touched stuff on the inside of the car were Disney related. That's themed vehicles. We're a Disney family. We love Disney, and so that's why that comes to mind. But then somebody did the Warner Brothers. There was Chevy Venture Vans years ago did the Warner Brother edition, and it was all the cartoon characters, and they had them like stenciled in on the floor mats and stuff like that. So they do theme. There's a theme to it.
They did the Transformer theme too.
Yeah, Chevy did Transformer theme on one of the Camaros. That was a themed vehicle. So it seems to be like a niche kind of market. One of the things I saw this year is Star Wars is big. So they're doing Star Wars themed vehicles. I think Nissan is actually doing that one because they started with the Rogue, and because the Rogue met with the name Rogue for the film, and now they've stretched it out to other vehicles. But would that make you buy a vehicle just because it was a themed vehicle?
No.
No?
Yes.
Would it?
Especially if it was a limited edition theme.
See, I just think it's hokey. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Send me a text, send me emails and stuff. Tell me what you guys think. But I think it's, you can even call in too. But I just think it's hokey. I think it's very, very hokey.
I don't have an opinion. It's just not something I would be willing to pay extra for. If I'm going to pay extra for a feature, it's got to be something that appeals to me. And a Bugs Bunny on my dashboard is not going to do it.
Maybe it's just not the right theme for me yet. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I think Star Wars is cool. I've yet to see all of them. I mean, I just have. It's just not my thing. I've seen the older ones and I like some of those, but it's just I've never been a big, huge Star Wars fan. So maybe it's just the wrong theme. Maybe if they did something that was like a huge theme for me, that it was something I was really into, maybe that would change my mind on it. But I mean, we're a Disney family. We love Disney, but I wouldn't go out and buy a Disney themed vehicle. That still would seem hokey.
I don't get that either, but I guess if there's enough appeal, it means there's enough dollars.
So I guess it would have to be something that I would find, that I would really like and that I find interesting. I don't know what it would be, but something that I liked, if I guess a theme vehicle, maybe mine would change. So when that happens, I'll let you know. But like even the black on black, they have names for, like, they do all blacked out trucks and they come up with a weird name for it. They do a completely blacked out car, or a completely red themed car, and they come up with these weird names for it. That's never made me want to have one of those either. I just think it's hokey.
Well, I always know you're going to pay more.
Yeah,
you know my mindset.
Go ahead.
All right, just think about this.
He's staring at me from across the way. So I
So
knew
you have a
wheels
Disney themed vehicle. The driver's Mickey. The passenger is Minnie. The kids in the back is like Donald Duck, Pluto. That would be cool to me.
It wouldn't make me rush out to go buy it, though.
It'd be cool if the
Okay, you're right. I want to go rush out to buy it, but if I had the chance and the money to buy it, I would do that.
It'd be cool if the driver was goofy.
Like most of the drivers that are out there nowadays, goofy. So, hey, Chevy Corvette is back in the news this week. So the rumor this week is Chevy is actually looking to be king again in the horsepower numbers. So it looks like the new Corvette, rear engine Corvette, is rumored to be right around about 850 horsepower, which will put Chevy now back on top. And I'm not talking, when I say back on top, I'm talking about the big three. I'm talking about Ford, Chevy, and Dodge and the horsepower wars and stuff that goes on. Dodge has claimed it for a while now with the demonic Hellcat. And so now Chevy's looking to outdo it. First of all, we've talked about the Corvette. I'm a Chevy fan through and through. I'm not a big Corvette guy because I just think, it's too much money for one. I think that's a big thing, and it's a lot of older people drive Corvettes.
I like them. I just don't like the price.
Would you drive one if the price was right?
Yes, I would.
Would you? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's in here too somewhere. We'll get to that. There's a story in here too. So I got called out, so we're going to get to that. So later on here. So I don't know. We'll see what ends up. It looks like the Corvette's going to have, the rumor is now that they're going to have 3 different engine platforms that you can get that car with. So it'll be 3 different engine choices. And I think that's going to have to dictate the price a little bit, probably up or down, depending on which one you get.
Dictate the horsepower as well.
I'm sure it's going to. So the most, here's the problem. They're getting, so you know what, I want to ruin it because, like I said, I got called out in a letter that I and all my letters are positive. Some letters I get are negative, and I got called out from somebody. So we'll get to it, and it's exactly what this is all about. So I'm going to actually end up getting to that and stuff. But here is something that's interesting in the news: poop.
Did you say poop?
I did. I said poop. And what do you think poop in the news and cars have to do with each other?
It's got to be an acronym for something.
Well, it could be a crappy one. But That's right. Poop is the talk this week. Toyota plans to change the way that we look at poop. What they've decided to do is they're going to build a plant that takes all the manure from dairy farms and processes it, and they're going to try to change it into a better way of fueling and powering electric cars.
Would that classify as a biofuel?
I can't, more. It'll be what's it? Yeah, I guess is that what hydrogen based? I'm not a chemist, so I couldn't tell you. But I know that they plan to build one plant. The plant says it basically can power like 2,500 homes, and it'll basically be based all off of poop. Yeah, poop. He's looking at me like poop.
Is it going to be stinky?
No, they'll process it.
Yeah. So, people are looking for new ways to do energy. I mean, it's just another way to try to figure it out.
Plenty of raw material, huh?
I knew that somebody wasn't going to be able to leave that one alone. So I'm going to move on. Hey, did you guys hear about Ford suing John Cena? Do you know who John Cena is?
No, I don't.
John Cena.
Yeah, he is a wrestler. John Cena. He's also starting to break into movies now and doing a lot. He's trying to fall behind basically all the rest of the wrestlers that try to break into movies. So it seems to get your hands on a 2017 Ford GT, you had to sign a contract. And it means that you would have kept the car for 2 years. Why is this important? Basically because Ford is like, okay, if I give a high celebrity or some type of celebrity that's in front of people that car, it gets notoriety because he's driving it, and it gets talked about, and there's a little bit of advertising that goes along with it.
And they're getting the car complimentary.
Oh, no, they're not.
They're paying for the car.
Yeah, that's what I thought was strange, because they actually had to pay for that car, too.
Yeah, if they have to pay for it, I don't see the reason for the
Now, my understanding is the new one's it's like 400 some odd thousand or something like that for one of these cars. So, I mean, the price tag is outrageously high on it. But I guess he signed a contract saying he'd own the car for 2 years, and he turned around and ended up selling it shortly after owning it for a huge profit. So basically, Ford is now suing him, saying that he breached his contract because with letting him be one of the first ones. They only can make 1,000 of these cars, by the way. So with him having one of them, they were hoping to bank on the popularity of him having it and the notoriety of him having it, and that they would actually got something out of the marketing for it.
Yeah,
and
PR value.
So since he decided to break the contract, they've lost that PR value, and now they want some money from him. So he says it's in the story I got sent to me. It says he is working with them, and he's been apologetic for it, but I don't think he viewed it as as big of a deal as they did.
Give me another one. I'll keep that for 2 years.
Yeah, right. Just send me another one. So I don't know. I don't think if I had to buy it and then had to sign a contract that I was going to keep it for a certain amount of time, I would never do that. I don't care who the manufacturer was. I would never agree to that.
So what's the difference between us? If we have to go buy it, we don't have to sign a contract saying we can have to keep it for 2 years.
To be fair, we're not as popular apparently as John Cena is. We're working on it though.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Any help? Hey, John, you want to help me out here? So no, I mean, and he seems to be a pretty genuine guy. So I mean, I don't think there was any malice in it, as far as that goes. But
maybe it was a profit motive.
It could be.
A buddy offered him a certain amount.
I don't know. You would think he would have so much money that wouldn't even be the motive either.
Profit motive is a strong motive.
Well, we're back around again. It's going quick. Yep. It is commercial break again. When we come back, a letter to me that disagrees with everything I've said. Stay tuned. We'll talk to you soon.
You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio with Dave Palach here on Freedom 1110 WKQA. Your vehicle has let you down and you need to get it moved pronto. Who do you call? Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth. Whether it's a breakdown or auto accident, Quality Towing and Recovery will be there quickly to solve your problem and with courteous service and reasonable rates. When you're stuck, don't worry about it. Call Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth, 237-5050. That's Quality Towing and Recovery, 237-5050.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-438-1391. 800-438-1391. 800-438-1391. Call right now. 800-438-1391.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Call into the program now at 757-222-3705. Now, here is Dave Palach.
Welcome back, America. You're listening to Let's Talk About Cars. So, before we went to commercial break, I was telling you I had a reader letter that disagreed with me.
Disagreed with
yes,
you, Dave?
Yeah, he disagreed with me. So, I'm going to read it to you because I get hate mail too. I get things. People don't have to agree with me. That's okay.
I'm just curious. I can't wait to hear what the subject matter is.
This is how he starts it, which is pretty funny. Dave. Period. I have to disagree with you. You stated a few shows back that horsepower wars was a good thing. The problem I see is that with cars and horsepower are just a fancy overpriced cars that many of us can't afford. Don't you see that for many years, us car guys have lost our fun and the drive to want to drive these cars based on price? New horsepower wars drive the price up and leave us feeling empty. Keeping it real, James in Chesapeake. So
that's not too bad.
I still disagree with you, James. And I'm going to tell you why. I agree with you and I disagree with you, and I'm going to get into the reason why I agree and the reason why I disagree. So anything that keeps muscle cars alive is what I mean by I love the horsepower wars. I am a car guy through and through, like many of our listeners and the people that follow us on the web. And a lot of my friends. I love horsepower. I love muscle cars. I think that it is 100% a fading hobby. I don't think it's as popular as it used to be, and I think it will continue to fade as time goes on. And the reason why is exactly as you stated. It is getting so god-awful expensive to have cool muscle cars. Whether it be old or it be new, it is getting more expensive. As the cars get older, the parts are getting more expensive to keep the cars on the road. As they create new stuff and new horsepower, the average guy can't afford it. They cannot afford a new muscle car because the prices are out there. I mean, for a really cool muscle car nowadays, you're going to drop about $70,000 if you want something that's genuinely cool outside the box. People go, oh, well, I can go jump in a GT for about $32,000 Mustang GT. You can. But then you are just a Me Too guy. And I'm sorry, Mustang guys, but that's just the way it works. And what I mean by Me Too guy is, hey, I got a Mustang. Me too. Oh, I put a supercharger on mine. Me too. I put a set of cool wheels on mine. Me too. That's the Me Too guy. And that's what's happened to the Ford Mustang. Now, I love muscle cars in general. Now, you guys will hear me talk about it. I'm a Chevy guy through and through. But that stops when it comes to trucks. So don't ever send me the hate mail like I get when I talk about it. I'm a Chevy truck guy, but when it comes to muscle cars, you can drive anything that you want. I don't care what it is. You're cool with me as long as it's a muscle car. It doesn't matter. I find VW Carnegie is cool when they're all tricked out and people have done, the Porsche swap to the motors and stuff. That's still cool to me. So when I say cool, I mean, it doesn't matter what spectrum of a muscle car or antique car or whatever it is. I find it all great. My concern with it when people hear me talk about the horsepower war being a good thing is I think they misunderstand what I'm saying. The horsepower war is what's driving it and keeping this fresh. Do you know that most of schools have gotten rid of all the auto mechanic repair courses? They don't have them anymore. When I was in school, I took a course. I went in and worked on my own car, wrenched on it, had a good time, enjoyed it, and learned a lot. That doesn't exist anymore in your everyday high school.
What happened?
They just did away with the programs. There wasn't enough money, I guess, to sponsor and stuff. And they just completely did away with them. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, we had 10 lifts in the auto garage. And it was just a regular course I went in. We were able to bring our own cars. You could park them inside what they called the compound, which was a fenced-in yard. And you could work on your car and build it. that has gone away. So the interest is going away. My kids, the only reason why they know how to work anything on cars is because I've taken the time to teach them. And I've taken the time to try to teach kids in the neighborhood that come to our house as well to help let them come to my house and work on their cars at my house. That has cost me a lot of money because most of my tools are Snap-on tools and they keep on disappearing. That's right, I'm talking to you. So,
I thought you were going to blame it on the food bill.
No, the food bill goes along with that too.
Yeah,
There's a
does.
food bill that goes along with that. But I have, as the kids have gotten older, I've let them come to the house and wrench on the cars. And kids in the neighborhood that my kids are friends with come and wrench on their cars at my house too, because I think it's very important that we teach our kids, how to work on cars and knowing the difference. And because my love and my passion for cars. He's right when he says that it's getting expensive because of the fact that, like I said, all these new cars are so high priced, the average guy can't afford to drive one of these cars. They just can't. And if they do, how are they going to feed the kids? There's so many different things go on. So that's the reason why when we talked about earlier this year, some of the manufacturers were looking at cutting all the extras out of the car, getting rid of everything electronic inside the car and just making a real muscle car that had no power or anything in it so people could afford it, or it had the basic power, just basic power windows and power locks. That way a guy who has a couple kids can afford to still go buy one, have fun, tinker with it, and add things as he has money. I think that's a huge idea. I think we're completely missing the market on that. And if the car manufacturers are listening, which I'm just going to say that you are, you really should go ahead and start this program. Dodge, you should have one. Ford, you should have one. Chevy, you should have one immediately. You take one of your products, you strip it down, you take all that fancy junk off the car, you keep the horsepower there because that's what the person's after in the first place, and then you make packages where they can slowly add things to the car. If you did that, you would sell so much more. The economy would be helped by it too, and the love of cars would stay. I'm afraid with cars advancing that the love of muscle cars and stuff like that is just going to slowly go away in my time. That's what I believe. So I'm going to say that, James, I agree with you to a certain degree, but I disagree with you. In fact, I think the more the horsepower is out there, the more this keeps the forefront, the more that it makes the hobby stay around. I'm all for that. Yes, I'd love to see the price of the cars come down so everybody can afford one because, I just miss the days where you see two of the competing manufacturers pull up next to a stoplight and the guy thinks he has the coolest car and the other guy thinks he has the coolest car, and that stuff is what makes my blood boil, and I'm so interested in seeing that. I love that still to this day, and that's happens a couple times. Well, I told you about when I was in Vegas and they weren't muscle cars, but they were foreign exotics that decided to go ahead and race side by side as us right there in Vegas, right close to the Strip. So
I remember.
So yeah, that was cool. It was. So I got another letter. I'm trying to get through all these because this show goes by very fast.
Tell me about it.
Howdy, guys. What do y'all think about Buick? I'm now at my retirement age, and we are looking to do a little relaxing and traveling. I want a road car, something comfortable to drive and still has that larger feeling to it. I've been looking at Buick, but I get scared after seeing less and less of them on the road. I don't like Ford's options. I can't see paying the money for a Cadillac because of the price. Any help, Paul in Norfolk? We were just talking about it. I still like Buick. I just think Buick is a good full-size road car.
I like them. I always have.
And I know there's a lot of different options out there. I mean, if you're looking at a Buick, as far as I'm concerned, you can't go wrong. I know a lot of people have had them. They've kept them for a very long time. They are very comfortable to drive. I agree with you that Cadillac's pricing has gotten completely out of control to the point where I wouldn't buy one. I just think it's very pricey. But
Buick should bring back the Roadmaster. That was my car.
The Roadmaster, Johnny Diamond had a Roadmaster that he couldn't kill. So the Roadmaster 100% was a cool car that lasted forever. I don't want to say it was the most stylish looking car, but it was.
I didn't care about that.
It was huge. It was a boat, and it was a land yacht, and it went down the road like one.
I enjoyed riding in it. I enjoyed driving it.
So, Paul, if you're looking to buy a Buick, I'd say go ahead and buy one. I just would. I mean, like I said, I liked all we were talking about. I liked the Riviera, and I liked the Regal. I liked the Ultra. I mean, all those were great road cars.
Did you like the original Regal or the retooled one?
The retooled one. What did you like?
I like the original.
Did you?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's out there. Hey, so here's something cool before we get out of here. I love Christmas time, and one of the reasons why I love Christmas time is because when all the cool gadgets come out. So all the stuff that you don't hear about regularly throughout the year, then all of a sudden they pop up and stuff. And I know a lot of these gadgets have been around. So I gave you a list of gadgets. So if you are listening, I have a lot of women listeners too, and you're looking to buy your man something for Christmas, here's some of the ideas. Or if you just want to buy yourself something because it's cool to buy, here's some Christmas gadget ideas. So one of the big things that's up right now is universal glass. Have you ever seen this?
No, I have no idea
It's
what it
the
is.
new heads-up display. You put it on your dash. It can actually attach to your cell phone too if you have like navigation on your cell phone, and it'll actually display a digital image on the windshield of your directions.
How much of the windshield?
Just a little small little box, a little tiny little box of it. So probably about the size of a cell phone, and it puts it right up on the windshield, so it gives you turn by turn. These things aren't very expensive, by the way. So I was trying to get you guys some of the prices, but I saw the prices starting right around $149. So if you're looking for a cool little gadget idea, it's pretty neat. There's a bunch of companies out there that make them. So I know Home Depot had one that I saw that they were selling too.
And what's it called? A universal windshield?
This one's called universal glass, what they're calling. They're heads-up displays. And then what it is just a little piece of glass that sits on the dash and then shoots a hologram basically onto the windshield as a heads-up display for your turn-to-turn versus having to look right at your phone all the time. It's on the windshield, so you can actually look right through it too. So that's kind of cool. Neat. Star Wars fans, if you're looking for something kind of cool, an R2-D2 car charger. So it sits in the little cup holder, so it looks like it was sitting in the back of the X-Wing fighter from the movie, and it sits in the cup holder, and it's just a little top of R2-D2, and it's a car charger. So it's kind of cool, and I've seen those start right around about $20.
You mean it'll start your car?
No, it's for your phone.
Okay.
Yeah, to charge up your phones and stuff. Just a little cool thing. Here's something that just started popping up. Air purifiers. People are starting to put them in. They plug them in. They purify the air in your car. So if you're a smoker or, whatever it may be, it'll actually purify the air in the car and take the smell out of the car. So they're electronically controlled. They basically plug in where the cigarette lighter goes or a USB jack.
Be neat if it took the dust out.
That would be cool. I bet you probably would. If it purifies air, you would think it would. A bag light. This one is a must-have, and I'm not even a female, but I'm going to say this is a must-have because I have watched many women dig in their purse in a car in the dark and try to find things. This is a motion sensor, light that goes inside your purse, and when you open up the purse or something, somehow the light comes on and it shines light inside the purse in the dark. So if you get in your car in the dark, you can actually see inside your purse in the dark. Look, if I was a woman, I would own one of these. As much as I've watched Dawn digging, looking for keys or something, or in the dark at night trying to find something in the purse, this is a great idea. So look it up. It's called the Bag Light. I tried to get a price on it, but it was so randomly put that as I scrolled through, it was like all those websites where you got to click on it, and it's like, buy now and stuff like that. I didn't want to click on it, but I did see one of them that was on one of the aftermarkets for $30. So LED car signs. So these are now, they go in the back window, and you can type little things on a little controller. So if you're displeasured with somebody, you can let them know with a one-finger wave.
That would appeal to me.
One-finger waves. It's one of the options on there, by the way. So, yeah. Apple CarPlay is a huge thing. So if you guys want to do Apple CarPlay, get it. It's actually cool. It takes your Apple phones and interacts it with your vehicle. They're a little expensive. Looks like the whole setup is somewhere around $1,000 if you needed everything, but some cars already have some of the components that you need. Digital breathalyzers are usually about $140 right now if you need a digital breathalyzer for your car. It's a cool little gadget just in case if you had a cocktail before you drove home, you'd know. So that was one of the high gadgets for this year. Wi-Fi. You can add Wi-Fi to any car now. You can get a Wi-Fi receiver, and you can actually put it in the back of your car, and it turns your car into a big hotspot so everybody can use their computer on long road trips, and you won't lose connection.
And where does the car get the internet signal?
Satellite.
Right to the car. So
question answered.
Dash cams are huge. So dash cams are coming around. About $249 for dash cams now.
Yeah, I
that's
like
about
those.
the average
I think they're neat.
Wireless chargers. That's actually, cars are now starting to come with those. You're going to see that in the future, that you're going to have wireless chargers that actually comes with the car, but you can actually do it as an add-on. Pressure washing undercar attachment for jacked up trucks. It's about $179. Look it up. So if you have a friend who has a four-wheel drive, or your husband drives a four-wheel drive, it's a cool little nifty gadget to get them. So that's all I got. And that is going to bring us to the end of the show. Again, it was quick, wasn't it? Well,
it always is.
It is. It is Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Saturday. Sunday's right around the corner. Turn off the TV. Spend some time with your kids. They'll love you for it. Even take them to a car show. We're out of here, and we'll talk to you soon.